Hi guys, Lewis here. I'm not in my car again. I'm at my brother's house, um, and I hope that background is okay. But you don't need to see my face really. I made sure I had enough memory on my phone because I feel like it's going to be a long one, much like the film in question, The Irishman, which I watched on Netflix last night. And I didn't record an immediate review. I was kind of questioning whether or not I do a review because normally I only really do that when I go to the cinema. Yeah, I watch films on Netflix quite often because they do a lot of their own original films, like this one, for example. Well, I mean, they paid for this one, but then they have a lot of films that maybe I wouldn't have seen before that are kind of hidden gems in a way. But yeah, anyway, let's get into it. The Irishman is the new Martin Scorsese film, which reunites De Niro, Pacino, and Joe Pesci after quite a long time in each individual case, and I think this is De Niro and Scorsese's first film together since Casino in 1995. And they used to be frequent collaborators. I'm thinking this would be the eighth or ninth film together, but more recent years it's been DiCaprio, who Scorsese's worked with a lot. And I am a big Scorsese fan. I really am, especially more in recent years. I've watched a lot more of his films, like older films, and I appreciate him a lot more now that I'm older. Um, but yeah, I mean, I like the earlier De Niro stuff, like Taxi Driver is one of my favorite films. I love Casino as well. I'm more of a Casino guy than a Goodfellas guy. Um, and up to his more recent stuff in recent decades with DiCaprio, like The Aviator, Wolf of Wall Street, The Departed, and that kind of thing. But yeah, my arm's getting tired already. Um, I feel like I'm dragging this out as well, which is ironic because the film's very long as well, like I say. But yeah, I found the film to be a bit of a struggle in places. Like I watched it, so it's 3.5 hours, and I probably watched it over like a 5 hour period. I was watching it at my brother's house, and I don't know how I would have dealt with it in the cinema. It wasn't like I was taking breaks. It was just I was doing other things. I was sorting food out. I was looking after the dog. Um, but there was a few times when I sort of thought maybe this isn't for me. I was enjoying it, but not. I wasn't fully invested in it as such. But I think ultimately I found it. I really liked it. I think I've seen a lot of different opinions. People saying it's boring and not worth it, and then people saying it's a masterpiece. And I'm kind of in the middle, leaning toward strongly on the positive, but still in between kind of thing. So it's one of those ones like when I first saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was my favorite films this year, probably my favorite film this year. And there were a few bits in that where I kind of went on my first viewing initially. I was kind of, starting to lose me a little bit, but ultimately it came together in quite a satisfying way. And I feel like this is kind of the same way as well. Like I've seen a lot of people saying it's a bunch of guys who are past their prime, but I look at it as them being absolute masters of their craft in a way. Like Scorsese in particular, like I've seen people ranking Scorsese's films, which is ridiculous because you can't rank a film he made in 2019 to a film he made in 1976. Like for example, like it's just he's a very different man, a very different filmmaker. I feel like a lot more people watch this film because it's on Netflix than they would have done if it was at the cinema, because Netflix obviously been promoting it quite heavy because they paid $160 million for it. But I think the performances are the real highlight of it. I mean, Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa is full on Al Pacino. I mean, he's just loud Al Pacino, which is great. But De Niro and Pesci are very, very understated. They're not too dissimilar characters what they played in the past. Pesci in particular is a very intimidating character, like he normally is, but not in a over the top stab someone in the neck with a pencil kind of way, or a pen, whatever it was. In more of a just an understated way, and he's likable in a way, but also quite sinister. And then De Niro is the real star of the show because it's another understated De Niro performance. But again, towards the end of the film, it's much more gut wrenching in a way. It's much more emotional than I thought it would be. And he's not a sympathetic character in many ways. He's not a good guy, Frank Sheeran in The Irishman that he plays. But it got me emotionally at the end. And I don't know if there is an element of sympathy to the character or it's just the issues that it raised. I won't go into detail, but that really tied it all together for me. And I really thought that really made it. Like all the bits earlier on where I kind of struggled getting through it, it kind of came to a really good conclusion. And I kind of, wow, I feel like they kind of snuck that in. I feel like you're not expecting it to be like that. I think people go in expecting Goodfellas, but really it's a like a very sobering meditation on a man's life and his regrets and what he pursued instead of what he should have been doing and with his family and that kind of thing. So in that regard, I found it really rewarding that I stuck through it. I don't know how I would have felt if I saw it at the cinema. Maybe it benefits from being on Netflix and watching it at home, but I don't know. But yeah, I really liked it. I don't know if I'd recommend it. I feel like a lot of people can watch it and think it's boring, but I say ultimately I did enjoy it. If you have 3.5 hours, I'd say it's worth the time if you've got the patience. But yeah, thanks.